This afternoon, Republican Congressman Billy Long of Missouri announced that he would vote against the new House Republican attempt to repeal and replace Obamacare. Quote, he said, "I have always stated that one of the few good things about Obamacare is that people with pre-existing conditions would be covered. The MacArthur Amendment strips away any guarantee that pre-existing conditions would be covered and affordable." Congressman Long's office put out his second statement this afternoon saying President Trump did call Congressman Long today, and they discussed his position for being a no vote on the AHCA. Congressman Long wants pre-existing conditions covered, and that's why he won't support this bill. The president tried to confuse a television interviewer yesterday about what exactly is in that bill. Sean Spicer tried to confuse the White House press corps today about what exactly is in that bill. Apparently, the president could not confuse Congressman Billy Long about what is in the bill that he has read. Joining us now, Michael Moore, an Academy Award-winning filmmaker who announced today that he is going to Broadway. He will star in a one-man show on Broadway this summer called The Terms of My Surrender. Michael, it's your Broadway debut, first of all.
It is, yes.
That's a big deal.
Yes.
And you're going to go to Broadway.
Yes.
To surrender to President Trump because he's gotten it right on health care. What are the issues that you're surrendering on?
Yes, exactly.
Am I misreading the title?
No, exactly right. In fact, there's no need to go because we already know that I've given up. No, I think the terms of my surrender are slightly different. Mm-hmm. The show is it's a piece of satire that I've written, and I've always wanted to do something live on the stage. Mm-hmm. And I thought, actually, I've been on a bit of a creative tear since last summer when I saw the train wreck that was coming, and I've been doing a lot of writing and approaching this from various fronts. And so the first salvo is going to be I want to do something here in this city, frankly,
yeah.
at the global headquarters of corporate America, Wall Street, the epicenter of the media. And the home of that great bastion of free expression, the American theater. So.
Now, will your script adjust to things that happen in the course of, say, Sean Spicer's day, or
yes, yes,
okay.
It will be a living, breathing. In addition, it is scripted, but if we need to bring in chocolate cake on any given night.
Right.
We'll be able to do
okay.
that. Yes.
Because today was so fascinating. You saw Sean Spicer, which we played earlier in the show, trying to pretend that it was very clear what the president's position is on pre-existing conditions in this new bill. Well, there he was on the phone today with a Republican congressman who's saying, "I'm voting against it because it doesn't guarantee coverage of pre-existing conditions." Apparently, that congressman's very clear about what's in it.
Yes. Trump doesn't understand that literacy is still alive and well in this country. People can still read. And this particular congressman from Missouri knows what they're planning to do because he read it.
Yes.
You don't have to go much deeper than that. But again, part of the propaganda machine, which again we like to laugh about here, but actually it's not very funny because they think they're getting away with it with tens of millions of people if they just say something enough, often enough, and just repeat the lie. Enough people will believe it, and we know that.
Well, that is working
works
for most of the people who've already voted for Donald Trump.
Yes,
and for no one else.
Right, but because Trump ran an election that ended up being benefited, he benefited from the fact that he was appointed by the Electoral College. It doesn't matter what the majority of Americans think right now. What is good? The good news is that we are the majority, myself and my fellow Americans who didn't vote for him, and we have raised a ruckus on so many issues in these first few months that I think we've kept him very busy. And people are attacking this on all fronts. I came on your show right after the election and I said, we have to operate on 4 fronts here. We need citizen mass action. We've seen that, right? Mm-hmm. We need our lawyers to go to court and get injunctions. We've had that. We need to run people who can win next year. We need to take back the House of Representatives. And if we keep our Democratic senators, it means we only need to remove 3 Republican senators next year. We need to do that. And the final thing that I have pushed is that we need an army of satire. We need everybody to use their sense of humor and their comedy to bring him down, because his skin is so thin. He gets so upset at you know, I mean, all Melissa McCarthy has to do is just keep appearing and Alec Baldwin on SNL, and you know, basically I and others, we formed this larger group of discombobulating him with humor, ridicule, satire. We want him up at 3 in the morning tweeting. The more he's doing that, that's the less he's doing to hurt the country. He does
appear to pay more attention to you and Alec Baldwin and Melissa McCarthy and everybody at SNL than he does to even the constituents of Republican Congressman Billy Long, who have impressed upon this Republican congressman, you can't vote for this. And so you're right about the number of fronts that need to be manned here.
The thing is that, too, like you just said and we just admitted I just announced what the strategy is. And let's say
it'll still work.
And let's say he's watching right now, because I think over at Fox during this hour there's just a test pattern. So he's flipped over here, heard the strategy. That's still, he can't control himself, because there is a disorder afoot here, and we want to keep him busy with that disorder. Not busy in the way where he's launching more Tomahawk missiles necessarily, but to where he just is chasing his tail. It's our version of wagging the dog, essentially.
When you go to Broadway, you will be, it seems to me, preaching to the converted to a great extent, as opposed to your documentary where you took the cameras, went right out into the heart of Trump land, which was a completely different world to talk to. Talk about the advantages of each one of those audiences.
Well, who says I'm not making a documentary?
Oh.
I'm just, listen, I said I'm on a creative tear. All right, this is salvo number one. Why Broadway? Because people on my side of the political fence need to start reaching the people who go to see Cats and The Lion King. So I'm planting my flag in a place where Middle America shows up.
In the summer, that's true.
And that's why I'm doing it in the summer. And we need to sponsor NASCAR things. We need to see, you know, climate change things on the hoods of Chevys that are racing around the track. You know, we need, you know, I did consider the ice capades. I mean, or Disney on Ice, perhaps. But I'm just saying that. I mean, I'm funny, but I'm not, because I really do believe that we need to reach people where they're at. 8 million Obama voters voted for Trump. All right, I probably can't convince the vast majority way on the right. But I think we can hold our hands out.
You can talk to them.
To the 8 million Obama voters that voted for Trump. Remember, it was just 10,000 votes in Michigan, 2 votes per precinct. That's all we lost by. We can do this. And going on Broadway is one way I'm going to attempt to reach out to middle Americans, and the pricing of the seats, I got the producers to, you can come there for like $25. So.
And discounts for Trump voters.
I will, if Trump voters want to come, I will probably actually buy their ticket.
Great. June 20th, July 20th?
It starts on July 28th.
July 28th.
For only 12 weeks. And next time I come back on, we'll go back to our show tunes that we used to do.
Oh, boy, you were singing during the commercial. I would invite you to sing us out, but we're in a big hurry. Michael Moore, thank you very much for joining us.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.